thangs. Welcome back to my channel where we listen to spooky stories and eat some yummy food together. Today we have Greek food. This looks so good and I'm so hungry right now. Today we have a chicken pita loaded with fries, a side of Greek fries, a ton of tzatziki, of course, always extra tzatziki, a little lemon, and a Coke to drink. And for today's spooky stories, we're going to be listening to people's experiences with astral projection. And I've always been so intrigued by this. I've never personally had an experience, but I've heard of some crazy stories, so I'm excited to get into it. For those who don't really know, astral projection is when you have an out-of-body experience, and essentially your soul can travel to different places, and you can kind of see the world through your spirit. Supposedly it's possible. I believe it, I just haven't experienced it. Maybe one day I'll get there, but I'm kind of scared. Let's get into our first bites. Crisp Coke. Squirt lemon. Alright, boo thangs, if you're ready to get started, then get your favorite snack, get a cozy blanket, and let's get freaky, guys. Let's go. Let's get into our first story.
This happened last Tuesday, April 29th, 2025, and it involved a tall gray I know, who I have given the nickname Dancing Square. I had decided to meditate that day. I was sick, and since meditation seems to naturally induce an astral projecting experience for me, I decided to try something new, because aping when I'm sick seems to make it worse. I decided to heighten and excite the energy in my body as I meditated. I started to see my chakras pour and condense around my body, mainly my heart chakra. I started to get visuals of space, but I tried to keep my body connected. I visualized carrying my body up, as I felt myself lifting into space. I started to see my body as glowing bright white energy humanoid shape, with the chakras shining through in different colors. My astral body was dimmer, more like a ghost. As I rose with body in my arms, it started to shrink, and soon I was holding my body against me. It was baby-sized, but still glowing brightly, chakras still shining. As I paused and surveyed my surroundings in space, above the earth, I saw the sun, shining, huge, welcoming, and I went there. I decided to sit on its magnetic field, high above its plasma ocean, as I held my body tenderly. As I settled on the surface of the sun's field, it rippled continually with waves. And as I sat there, suffused in the sun's energy, watching all its activity, all the energy flowing all over the place, I realized my body and my arms was overflowing with a much denser energy all of a sudden. The energy flowing from my body's chakra points suddenly was much thicker, more vibrant and active, pouring out with a new intensity, and enveloping me and my body in a round, thick, and warm outer field of dense circulating energy. As I looked more closer at my body, I saw it was absorbing the energy from the sun from the crown chakra point, and it was causing this cascading outpour of all chakra energy. But my body seemed fine, great even, and it felt wonderful, so I let the energy keep pouring, condensing into this wonderfully warm and protective field around me and my body. I looked out into space towards Earth, that was a glimmering speck in the distance. As I looked towards the Earth, I could feel its magnetic field was reaching all the way to the sun weakly, I reach out my arm and a single thin magnetic line from Earth connected. It would break and reconnect, weak but steady. I thought to myself, how can I help Earth? How can I help humanity, everyone down there? Then one of my beings, a tall gray, showed up where I was in an astral body, and he asked telepathically, "What are you doing here?" With some feeling of humor in his telepathic tone. I told him, "I'm thinking, wondering, what to do, how to help." My being knew what I meant. He could see my gaze was on the earth, that thin magnetic line in my hand. He said, "Come with me, let's go to the ship." And I followed him there, teleporting with him via our astral bodies. As I entered a room in the ship, I saw his body, working on something nearby. He said telepathically, "Sit anywhere you like though, that's new. I've never seen you do that before." As he gestured to my small, glowing body in my arms, I decided to sit on the floor, my back against a cabinet of his. I told him, "Well, I know I get sick, and so I decided to bring my body with me this time." He replied idly, "Is that what it is?" As I let my thoughts drift, his astral body appeared near me again, and he sat next to me as his body worked. He said, "I can see what you're wondering about. What ideas or how to proliferate them in humanity, where it may be best or not. I want to show you something, come with me." I got curious, so I took his astral hand in mine, and he led me outside to space again. Then it bent, distorting as we moved through it, into it. We stopped in some altered space, black and glowing purple, like an enormous pocket in space-time. In the center of it, an absolutely massive, complicated shifting shape or mass was ahead of us. It was bright neon blue, almost metallic, with a beautiful strange symmetry to it, shifting shadows and internal geometry I could see. I got the sense that Earth was nearby somehow, in this strange space he had brought me to. My being asked me, "What do you think it is?" It was breathtakingly beautiful, and I go the sense it was many, many times bigger than us. It reminded me of some of what thought forms looked like, so I replied, "It looks kinda like an idea of some kind." And that made him telepathically laugh. He said, "It is an idea. Of humanity. It's humanity's idea." I looked at it curiously and asked, "But wait, what humanity thinks of itself, or what the creators thought of us?" He laughed again as he said, "Both. Do you see that thin seam of separation near the beginning of it? That's where their idea and humanity's idea of itself connected across time."
This story is so intense so far, and I feel like people won't even fully comprehend someone's experience because unless you have experienced it yourself, it just sounds so foreign. Still very interesting though. Let's carry on.
I peered at it and I asked, "But how are they coexisting? The creators left humanity for us to self-determine." And my being replied, "Well, this is the whole idea. In this part of space-time, outside of where it flows linearly around Earth, where time doesn't flow linearly, where the whole of it exists unendingly in connected time." I regarded it with a new sense of awe. Then my being said, "Look over there in those parts." And I looked, and I saw a distinct energy signature woven into small parts of its shifting geometric shape. My being continued, "Those are your ideas. They're already inside of the collective idea of humanity, even if you haven't linearly experienced sharing them yet." I was shocked. I asked him, "Whoa, but how? I don't even know if they're any good." My being replied, "Clearly they are, if they've been woven in. Snacky, you've already changed humanity for the better. You just haven't seen it yet." I asked him, "But wait then, you've already seen it? But what about all the overlapping timelines? I know I've been existing on adjacent timelines that happen differently." My being pointed at the shape, superimposing an image of slicing the shape like an orange naturally splits into on the inside. Slices. He said, "You see these slices? They're all the adjacent timelines where ideas cross-seminate across adjacent timelines. This slice," and he pointed to a specific cutout of the idea shape, "is where you are right now, and look, your ideas are still in it, just as they are in other slices. Your ideas are already integrated, accepted, built on." All I could say was whoa. As I contemplated it all, I asked him, "But wait, that would mean ideas aren't confined to singular timelines. But if they aren't generated by the individual, what are they?" And he replied thoughtfully, like he was explaining something simple, Ideas are probability fields. When an idea occurs to someone in one timeline, it has already occurred in some other timelines too, like a spill across temporal lines. Whether or not one temporal slice of a person experiences an idea other slices have already tapped into depends on that slice's resonant value. A resonant slice will experience shared ideas with other slices without realizing it. A greatly dissonant slice will not carry a connection to the field that is the idea other slices have experienced. In this way, humans already navigate, share, and experience extralinear temporal properties without understanding their full nature. As I thought about it, I asked, "So this is what you mean when you say, you've already seen me do things in my life?" And he replied, "Yeah, sometimes." As I thought about the idea in front of us, I asked him, "Does every civilization have one of these?" And he replied with a laugh, "Yeah, they do, Snacky." I asked him, getting excited, "Could you show me my old civilization's idea too?" And he laughed again, saying, Yeah, let's go see it for a moment." So as I stayed with him, he bent space again, and I felt we had come near my former planet, as the distortion opened up, and I saw the idea of my former civilization. It was beautiful, again in that dark purple space, fluctuating, symmetrical, and geometric, but silver instead of blue. I was struck by the size of it. It seemed much bigger than Earth's. I asked my being, "Is this one bigger?" And he laughed and said, "We're a lot closer to this one." I nodded as I looked at it. I could see in the idea the explored morality and ethics my civilization had contemplated around expansion into space, something we had only begun to explore on Earth. I saw parts of ideas that were now built into my psyche, pieces of my homeworld I had never stopped carrying. I pointed them out excitedly to my being, and he laughed as he saw what I meant. After that, he said, "All right, let's go back to humanity's idea now." And I agreed, and he brought us back to it, distorting into that purple space again. As I looked back at humanity's idea, a new level of awe washed over me. But I also got worried, and I asked my being, "What if I share my ideas with the wrong people? What if my ideas get distorted?" And he seemed to find it really funny that I even asked. He said, "Well, they made it into there intact, so you didn't fail. The path to there is almost arbitrary now." But he continued, getting a little more serious. "I know what you mean. There are bad people, bad humans, humans with unkind intentions for the rest of your civilization, the rest of your people. I know you're worried about them. But," he continued, his mental voice conveying a sense of trust, "I know you're wondering because you see people who want your ideas, who are ready for them now. Down there." He gestured to Earth nearby below us, even in that distorted place. He continued,
Are you guys following along? This story sounds super intense. It's crazy to think that someone actually experienced this. Who knows, the world is so mysterious.
"If you see people, ready to contemplate your ideas with minds, gardens ready to grow your ideas, to bear the fruit of knowledge that those ideas seed, then share them. Your ideas really are like a crop. Once they proliferate, and they won't die out. They'll be carried, cultivated, tended to, and cherished as they change, and feed the questions human minds are beginning to have." I felt his gaze on me settle as he carried into a more serious tone. He said, "They need your ideas, Snacky, and you do give them to humanity. They bolster humanity further into new thinking, new mental frontiers. So don't worry too much about the delivery method. If one person's mind is a garden they can grow in, then that person is already on the cusp of understanding why human infighting is circular, and beneath the existence of what humanity really is." He looked back at the idea of humanity and said, "Anyone whose mind has the conditions allowing your ideas to grow in is already more an evolved human than a regressed one." That was what I needed to hear. And I replied, "Thanks, I didn't see it that way. But I understand now. You're right. I don't need to worry about the ideas dying out. All I need to think about is how to share them with others, who are already looking for ones like mine." We had sat down on some floating energy shape, watching the idea of humanity, in its timeless existence, in its timeful existence, just appreciating it. And then after that pause, he asked me, "I guess you don't need any more of my advice." And I laughed and said, "No, I don't. I guess I'll head back down to Earth then." He replied, "Good, and don't worry so much." I agreed. I said, I'll try, okay? And I came back down, settling into my body. And that was all of it. I know this experience was, maybe more individual than enlightening or helpful for others. But it stayed with me, given me new insight, new perspective on how we live, share, and understand the human experience we all have. I think half of our evolution, our growth and understanding, is tied to ideas, to what we understand, what we know, what we mentally accept into our paradigms of existence. So I think ideas are important, precious, as valuable as they can be dangerous, but also potentially enlightening, revealing. If our five senses are how we navigate a physical world, then ideas are how we navigate the psychological one, the psychic one.
Guys, holy that story was like such a trip. I felt like I was watching a movie. It was so intense and very philosophical. Speaking about the human idea, how can we help humanity? How ideas are already planted and have already existed. So intense. What did you guys think about that story? Since that one was pretty long, I think we have one more story. We're gonna see how far along we get. So let's get into our next story.
A bit emotional for me to talk about this. Happened a couple days ago, and it's been a weird one to digest. Finally feel like it's appropriate to share. I always see posts here and on different subs asking if it's possible to speak to dead relatives in the astral, and a lot of people want to get into this for that sole reason. Every time I saw those posts, although I sympathize, it made me want to cringe. The reason being because after 12 years of aping, I never once have been able to speak to anyone I knew. And I guess, hard to admit, I've been looking for my mother in the astral since I was a teen and never found her. The closest I ever got was an entity who pretended to be my mother, and turned out not to be her. I don't want to elaborate on this one any further. It's very sad and scary. I don't want to cloud your experiences with my negative ones. Most of my APs have been nothing but strangeness for so long, and they often still are. I gave up in trying to find my mother or speak to her many years ago, because it seems that other entities know that and use it against you. There are so many things out there that just want to f with you. It seems perhaps it's the planes I was vibrating in. Who knows? I don't have this deep understanding of what the things I'm seeing and doing are, just a lot of first-hand experience with no real answers. My wife had told me once that she has a very vivid dream with my mother, and she was living in a sort of castle or tower, very beautiful and full of flowers. For some reason she was still bald. My mother died of cancer, so she was bald for many years. She passed around 16 years ago now. My wife has borderline medium-like abilities, but I never gave this story too much credit. I don't believe in anything I don't see firsthand. It's just the way I am. For about a month now, my APs and my dreams have been extremely intense, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I turned 30 recently or what, but my experiences are becoming more... How do I even put it? They are becoming less random, scary, and annoying to something more deep. I don't want to use the word angelic because I have not seen any angels or anything like that, but for the first time I have met a couple spirit guides. I wasn't even convinced guides existed, but I have now met 2 of them. I don't know if they are my personal guides or just helpful entities in general. Either way, I digress. I AP and end up in this apartment. It's my old apartment back in South America that I used to live in 18 years ago. I hear a familiar voice, and it calls me to the deck of the building. This is very, very hard to describe, so bear with me. Okay, the deck is just a deck, like this platform that sticks outside the building. I don't know how to explain this, but it's like the deck was part of a tower, just like my wife described. I couldn't enter the castle. It's like I knew it was there in my mind, but I had no access to it, nor could I see it. I could just feel it. I know that sounds ridiculous. Like, how can you feel a tower that's not really there? You're in the astral. You should be able to see it. I don't know how to explain. It's like I could sort of see it, but not really. It's as if it was existing in the same place as me, but in a different plane or something that I could not reach. But I knew it was there. I feel my mother's presence. Yet another thing that is impossible to describe, unless you have experienced it. In the astral, you can feel things. You usually know when something is bad, good, powerful, etc. right away. You know things in the astral that you don't seem to know in the physical also. You seem to be especially intuitive to a supernatural extent. I feel my mother, but I can't see her. She is in the tower I can't see, but I can speak with her. So I'm just standing on the deck knowing my mother is right there, and there's this entire castle or tower that I just can't see for whatever reason. I speak with my mother. I ask if she's well. She is crying as she speaks to me, clearly very happy to see me. We exchange words or love. I tell her about life, and we have a somewhat brief conversation, like maybe 5 to 10 minutes before the experience ends. I didn't get to hug her. I didn't get to see her, but I know that was her, and I'm happy she's okay. I feel like every negative experience I have ever had in the astral has paid off. Getting to hear my mother's voice and check in on her felt like a blessing very few will ever be able to experience while still alive. I believe I was finally able to speak with her because I'm evolving spiritually enough to be closer, or have closer access to where she resides. I'm starting to be able to visit places I was not able to before, and my experiences are becoming incredibly profound.
These stories are beginning to become a little bit more enlightening and lovey-dovey, which I'm loving. It's not so much spooky this time around. Next time I'll collect a bunch of freaky astral projection stories. But for now, I'm enjoying this heartfelt moment. I'm so glad that he finally got to reconnect with his mom. What a special moment. Let's carry on.
Do I recommend anyone get into astral projection to see or talk to dead relatives? I don't know, man. I'm never going to fully blanket endorse the practice to everyone. I certainly wasn't ready for it when I got into this. Also, I don't want the burden on my shoulder of telling someone that if they do this eventually they can see a loved one. Because I really don't know. And honestly, I have no idea how it works. I don't know what allows you to be able to do this. I don't know if it's possible that the relative you want to see might have reincarnated already. I don't know anything, and I don't want to act like I do. I'm not a guru. I'm not an ascended master, or whatever that is. I'm just a dude who got to speak to his mom after 12 years of mostly very bad experiences with a practice I don't endorse. I don't know if astral projection is good or if it's bad, and I don't want to be anyone's moral compass or promise anything. I just wanted to share this with you, exactly how it happened. My opinions don't really matter.
I like that he had a little warning message towards the end. There's so much unknown about the world or astral projection, so please use it at your own caution. What did you guys think of those stories today? Pretty insane. If you guys are liking these videos so far, don't forget to drop a like and hit that subscribe button, baby. Okay, I'm actually so full, I can't even lie. This was a thick pita, but I will finish this, don't worry. Alright, boo thanks. And if you have any stories of your own, don't forget to send me an email, okay? I'm gonna drop my email down below at boothangmukbang@gmail.com. I'd love to hear your scary stories. This was fun. Until next time.